Our tale begins near Ethiopia. Clymene comes to her son and confesses to him an important truth. She tells him that before he was born, Helios came to her and seduced her. The god of the sun, he whose chariot flies overhead every day, is Phaethon's true father. Up until this point, Phaethon's contemporary, named Epaphras, often taunted him over his lowly birth. Epaphras was the son of Zeus and Io, and would one day become the king of all Egypt. Epaphras would boast about spending time with the king of the gods, that Phaethon would not believe the sights that he had seen. Phaethon, to Epaphras, was beneath him, with a poor lineage. On this fateful day of his mother telling him the truth, Phaethon can no longer hold his tongue. He expresses to all that can hear that he is of a high birth. "I am the son of Helios," he says, "the lord of the day who races his chariot across the sky, and brings light and warmth to the world." After a short, stunned silence, laughter begins to build. Phaethon is ridiculed by those around him for his fantastical imagination. Everyone knows that he is the son of King Merops, a king no doubt, but a mortal one all the same. Phaethon seeks out his mother again, to confirm to him the truth. Helios is indeed his true father, she says, and if her word is not good enough, perhaps Phaethon should seek out Helios himself, and seek an answer that he can believe. Phaethon sets off on his journey, eager to prove that he is the son of Helios. He passes through Ethiopia and India, further still on a great journey. He is proud of his newfound stature as the son of a god, grandson of the Titans. In some tales it is said that upon seeing his son struggling to pass through regions that are now Iran, Helios sends a wave of birds to collect Phaethon and carry him the rest of the way. Phaethon arrives at the Palace of Helios at night. Helios must be in residence, not currently on his long daily saunter across the sky. The palace is a place far to the east, a place where the sun rises. The young man is quickly brought before the god, who is seated comfortably upon his throne. Phaethon introduces himself. He states that he is here to confirm that he is Helios' son, that he is truly descended from the Lord of Daylight. Helios looks upon Phaethon for a moment, examining him. He proclaims with a wide smile that of course this is true, and he welcomes his son to the palace as his true-born child. Helios lovingly speaks to him as a father would, joyous to see him, offering any wish that is within his power to give, pledging to honour that boon on the Styx itself. Phaethon ponders what it is he wishes for. Gold? Eternal life? Power? Then it comes to him. He is the son of Helios, and can prove wrong all who doubted him. Phaethon has concluded that he can, quite easily, pilot his father's chariot for a single day. As he flies overhead, his doubters can peer upwards at him, gasping at their own ignorance. Helios is not quite as impressed with the plan as Phaethon is. He explains to his son that Phaethon does not yet understand how difficult controlling the chariot actually is. The horses will not listen to Phaethon, and will only listen to himself. In time, perhaps Phaethon may be ready to follow in his own footsteps, but not yet. Helios implores Phaethon to change his mind. Choose riches or power, choose immortality or acknowledgement. Phaethon is nonplussed by his father's advice, demanding that Helios swore upon the Styx, and this is a request his father cannot refuse. This path is extremely dangerous, but Phaethon does not listen. The doors of Eos, sister of Helios, will soon be thrown open. Eos is the rose-fingered goddess of the dawn, who opens her gates and ends the starry darkness of night with golden light. It is said that she sometimes accompanies her brother on his daily toils, ending some days with a golden dusk. For her duties today, she is quite surprised to find a mortal walking with Helios to the stables of the sun. Helios is still worried. He tries to implore his son a final time to change his mind. Phaethon refuses once again. His mind is set to the task, and he knows in his gut that controlling the sun chariot with his ability will be no effort at all. Helios resigns himself. He hastily tries to give his son instructions on how best to control the horses before dawn begins. He tells Phaethon not to fly too high, and certainly not fly too low. The horses know the way, but they must be controlled by competence and strength. Their names are Aton, the blazing one, Euos, he of the dawn, Pyrois, the fiery one, and Phlegon, the burning one. Eos steps forth. With her crimson arms she throws open the gates, and dawn flashes across a blackened sky. Phaethon sits within the chariot, mares before him stamping their feet in preparation. They burst into a run, taking flight to the sky at a breakneck pace, blasting light and heat across the world. Proud Phaethon, who would not listen to the advice of Helios, who was easily insulted by the pride of others, smiles with confidence. This is going to be easy. The horses stream forwards in a straight and assured line, trotting comfortably across the sky. The blazing sun warms the earth, and people across the world do very much what they have always done for the many years of their lives. Despite the intense heat and extreme brightness, things seem to be going quite well. At least Phaethon thinks they are going quite well. Very quickly though, Phaethon begins to lose control. The horses, recognizing less authority on their reins and less strength in the guidance behind them, begin to veer off in a direction of their own. The four horses begin to rise into the air, imperceptibly at first, and then suddenly in a great upwards climb. Phaethon panics and struggles to get the mares under control. The horses will not listen to him. They rise and rise up to the upper limits of the sky. They level off high in the air and trace a scar across the heavens. One day, this gash will be called the Milky Way. On Earth, the lack of warmth chills the planet, and the further away polar regions freeze permanently. Phaethon yanks the reins as hard as he can, pulling with all of his might. The horses react by taking a nosedive back down to the earth. They stampede at unimaginable speeds and level off very close to the ground. They crash their way through Africa, incinerating the earth beneath them to dust, scorching the land and, in some tales, the skin of those who dwell near the equator. Phaethon is violently burning holes in both heaven and earth. On Olympus, the erratic movements of the sun has the gods perplexed and very concerned. Zeus looks down upon the sun chariot. It seems to be causing a great wound, stretching out bellows of fire on the earth. He sees, instead of Helios, a boy struggling at the reins. The boy is yanking the mares to and fro, screaming in terror. To save the earth, Zeus raises a thunderbolt in the air and throws it with an explosive pace right at the chariot. Phaethon is killed immediately. Proud Phaethon is thrown from Helios' chariot, smoking and blackened from the lightning bolt. He falls to the earth and lands within the river Eridanus. There, his nymph sisters weep for his passing with golden tears, rolling down their cheeks as beads of amber. For 4 days his sisters will cry here, until they are eventually turned into poplars, with weeping amber nectar that are still seen lining the banks of this same river today. Without a master at the reins, the mares instinctively resume their correct path, and follow their usual course westwards as they always have. Following the catastrophe, Zeus raises floods across the burnt plains in an attempt to temper the burning wildfires of the earth. When hearing of Phaethon's fate, Kychnos, his lover, seeks out and fails to find his remains. He spends the rest of his days seated beside the river where Phaethon fell. Through the years, he mourns over his fallen love, his hair turning white. The gods take pity on him, and turn Kychnos into a swan. Kychnos is said to have been quite musically inclined. Swans who mate for life sing the most beautiful melody when they know that death is close. The constellation of Auriga, the charioteer, is raised in the memory of Phaethon. Opposite the stars of this constellation, you can also find the constellation of the Swan, Cygnus, raised in the memory of his lover, Kychnos. Many years later, during the time of Jason, the Argonauts will come upon this very same river. They will be taunted by the endless scent of Phaethon's corpse, still burning and smouldering somewhere beneath the surface. The tale we have told about Phaethon here assumes the truth of a number of things that can change and drift depending on the version. We've taken a couple of creative liberties here for this story. In some other versions, for instance, Phaethon is the son of Apollo, not Helios. Both, though, are gods with dignities over the passage of the sun. To Hyginus, Phaethon was the grandson of Helios. Here he was the child of the similarly named but flipped in gender Clymenus and Merope. The tragedian Euripides wrote that the root of Phaethon's journey was to actually seek confirmation of his lineage because of his discomfort over an upcoming marriage. The tale of Phaethon, or sometimes Phaeton, is a Greek mythical tale of hubris. It tells the listener to value the experience of others, especially their elders. It's also a warning about extreme confidence in one's own abilities, how excessive pride inevitably comes before a fall. The story may have had an underlying current of social relevance to ancient Greeks. According to Robert Graves, it likely had a role in the annual sacrifice of royal princes, a sacrifice that took place on the day following the shortest of the year. In Graves' own words, the sacred king pretended to die at sunset. The prince was invested with his titles, dignities and sacred implements, married to the queen, and then, as interrex, killed 24 hours later. In Thrace, he was torn to pieces by women disguised as horses, but at Corinth and elsewhere, dragged at the tail of a sun chariot drawn by maddened horses until he was crushed to death. From this tale, we can clearly see an example of how Greeks use stories like this to explain various phenomena of their world. Why is the desert so hot? And why are the people so different in appearance? Why, when we travel northwards, does it seem to get colder? Perhaps at some point the sun came too close and scorched the land. Perhaps another time it flew too high and caused a chill. Could that be why there is a gash in the stars? It was very common for things that could not easily be explained to be wrapped up in dealings with the gods and their stirrings. In future episodes, we will likely see more examples of this. That's it, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing for more mythology and history content. I've been CircleStrafe, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Toodles!